Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel, Soul's Life. Today I'll be showing you the pattern pieces that I will be working with. First, we have the sleeves, 2 pieces cut on a fold. Here we have the front part of the top. It is 4 pieces cut singular. That's the shoulder, armhole, underarm, and neckline. And here we have the back part of the top, the side, underarm, armhole, shoulders, neckline, back, cut on a fold. So the back piece is just one whole section. This is the liner for the neckline. This is the liner for the armhole. This stuff comes with the sleeves, but I do have a liner. The reason why there is a liner, the sleeve goes like this. So where there's no sleeves, this is where the liner comes in. So there's going to be the liner up here and the sleeve is going to be this portion. So these are all the pieces that I will be working with. So let's begin putting our top together. Here we have the sleeve pattern that I've pinned. I fold the seam allowance down and pinned it. So this will be the hem, and I'm going to flat stitch all the way down, or stitch, whichever one you prefer to say, and just stitch all the way across. I'm also going to do here, I pinned it down with the seam allowance, and I'm going to stitch all the way across where it's pinned down. I did the same on the other sleeve. Fold the seam allowance, pin it down, and I'm going to stitch from one end to the next. For the top, I did the same thing. Fold the seam allowance down, pinned it, and I'm going to stitch all the way around. And this, the armhole and the underarm, I'm more than likely going to serge it. So that's the sleeves. Now we have the back. I pinned the armhole liner, the shoulder liner down. What I'm going to do, however, I'm going to stitch from the top shoulder to halfway down, wherever the sleeve is going to begin, and I'm going to stop stitch right there. I'm not going to stitch the whole thing. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to stitch from the shoulder, come down to wherever the sleeves is going to be, and I'm going to stop stitch. The neckline, I'm going to stitch from one end to the other end, and serge all the way around. The front part of the blouse, I lined up the neckline together, straight across, and I pinned it down. I am gonna just, whatever the seam allowance is, I'm just gonna stitch all the way from one end to the next and serge the ends. Here we have the other side. I'm gonna do the same, pin along the seam allowance. I'm gonna stitch from one end to the next and then serge the loose ones. So there's two pieces, the back piece and the two sleeves. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch all the areas that were shown, and I'll be back. I've serged the neckline and the front, and this is what it looks like when it's complete. We also have the other side. The neckline is serged. So I stitch this down first, and then I lined up the shoulders and stitched the neckline. And this is what it looks like. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin right here and right here. So I'm going to stitch the armhole and serge it. I'm also going to do the same, line it up. I'm going to pin it. So I'm going to stitch the armhole, and then I'm going to serge the raw edges. Do the same over here. Stitch the armhole and serge the raw edges. That's with the two front pieces. With the back pieces, I stitched half of the liner, and I did half of the liner, and I did the neckline. I serged the neckline and I put notches in the necklines because it's going to fold over. I did not serge the armhole because I'm not done placing the sleeves. So when I'm done with the sleeves and it's stitched on, then I'm going to serge the armhole. So I'm just going to leave it like this for now. So I'm going to go ahead now and flip the neckline over, and I'm going to stitch it down. You could also iron it down before you stitch it. That way it's going to stay smooth. So I'm going to iron it down and stitch it. I also serge the bottom. And next, the sleeves. This is what the sleeves look like after we're done sewing them. We stitch the hem and we stitch the top. So now, what I'm going to do with the sleeves is turn them right side facing each other, line it up this way, right side facing each other, line it up, and I'm going to stitch my seam allowance straight up. Stitch the seam allowance straight up. I also serged here. So I'm going to stitch right here, let me pin it. So I'm going to stitch here and here. Also, with this one, I'm going to stitch here and also here. So this is what the sleeve is going to look like when it's done. Stitch and stitched. The back, we're going to stitch it, flat stitch and serge. The front piece, I'm going to stitch and serge. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like. Okay, here I stitch the back. This is what it looks like. After I stitched the liner down, I did the liner on the sleeves on both sides. Here's the sleeve. I stitched down and serged. And this is what it looks like on the right side. And this is what it looks like on the right side on the other sleeve. So these are the two sleeves finished. Now we have the front section of the top. Serged and stitched, and I also stitched the armhole. Here we have the front side of the top. Stitched and serged, and I stitched half of the armhole. Keep in mind we have to put the sleeves on before we finish stitching the armhole section. So now what we are going to do is take the back section. So this is the back, and we have the front. So you're going to take the back section, take one side of the front, right side on right side. And this is how it goes. Before we do this, forgot one thing. Before we stitch the sides, I left room for a dart. So I'm going to measure out the dart, and I'm going to stitch the dart down. I'm also going to do that on the other side. On the other side of the top. I'm going to measure out the dot. Both of them will be equal measurements. And I'm going to stitch the dot. Also, this is not laying flat because I haven't done the notches in the armhole. So let me move this on the side so you can see this clearly. This is what it's gonna look like. So once you sew the darts, once I'm done sewing the darts, I'm gonna stitch the side down, put the notches in the armhole, put the notches on the neckline, and this is gonna be the shoulder. I'm also gonna do the same here. Put the notches on the armhole, notches on the shoulder, and stitch the darts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I'll be right back to show you what it looks like. Here we have the front and the back sides of the top. So what I did, I joined one side of the front and one side of the back, and I just stitch it all the way down from the underarm to the waist. Then I took the sleeve, I placed it the middle of the sleeves to the middle of the underarm, both underarms, the underarm of the sleeve and the underarm of the top. I placed it lined with each other, and I just went all around and pinned. That's the end of the sleeve. Then I pinned over here, and this is the end of the sleeve. So all I have to do now is stitch where the pins are all the way across. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch the sleeve. I'm going to serge the sides of the top, and I'm going to serge the front half of the top. And then I'll be back to show you what it looks like. Okay, here I have the sleeve sewn in. I also, it's hemmed, it's darts, this is the front, this is the back, and the top is now completed.